Let's talk motorcycle navigation and ask you a question. Why are we not seeing a more wide adoption of CarPlay and Android Auto on two wheels? And could CarPlay or Android Auto be a viable option for motorcycle navigation? I would personally have a hard time going back to a traditional navigation unit in my car. So it made me wonder, why are most people still not using this tech with their motorcycles? Well, let's find out together if this Carpuride can replace my dozens and dozens of phone mounts and could work as a main navigation unit for both of my motorcycles. Carpuride sent me this to test so we can take a look at this option and see if this could be the next device for you, and am I going to switch to using this one in my future trips. So let's dive deep and check if this option has any chance of replacing all of our navigation needs. So here's pretty much what you get in the box. The device itself with the 7-inch screen. In this case you can also buy the 5-inch version, but this is the bigger one. Behind the device it looks like this. And there's the power cable for the connection that we're gonna look at later. You can turn this device off and on using this button. So the device hardware itself is pretty basic. There's also a memory card option if you want to load something here that works offline, like music or something like that. As far as I understand, I haven't used the memory card option myself. Then you have the mounting option, number 1. So this is a pretty basic RAM mount that you can use to attach it to your bike. As it comes stock, this is gonna have the RAM mount ball here, but I already lost it because I'm a dumbass. But that's what you would use with this one. Put the device on this end and use this to attach it to your handlebar or something like that. There's a nice cushioning here, some plastic protection so you're not gonna scratch your handlebar as much as you might otherwise. So yeah, that's a nice option for handlebar mounting. But I'm gonna actually use the second option of the mounting setup here. With these you can attach the device to a navigation bar on your bike or your rally tower or whatever you use. And it comes with two different options. So this rubber that is already in here is pretty thick, so works okay with the rally tower on the Honda CRF that I have on right now. And then you can put in these extra rubbers here to make it work better for a little bit thinner bar. Like the bar in the NX500, the stock bar, works with this one very well. It closes in about this much. It's a very sturdy mount, and I like this option for most adventure bikes. Then comes with the battery installation cable or some other outlet that you can use on your bike with these plus and minus wires. And it already has a fuse here and also a replacement fuse if you need it at some point. So that's a really nice design. You can also use a USB outlet. It is a little bit tricky to get this waterproof on the bike if you decide to use this permanently, but some bikes of course may have USB ports somewhere that is protected from water ingress, but I tend to use this kind of option for my bikes. Then you have the installation hardware, the bolts and nuts and stuff like that here. Some of these are already out of the bag because I've installed this to my bike a couple times already for this video. But that's pretty much what you get in the box. So as far as I see, there are 3 different ways to connect this to your bike's electronics. First is to connect it directly to your battery, that the device will always get power and you need to shut it off using the power button on the side of the device. Second option is to connect this power cable to some wiring cluster on your bike that only gets power when the bike is on or the bike is running, depending on the bike of course. That's, I think, for my use case, that's a preferred option because the device is never gonna be left on by mistake. Third option is with this provided USB cable directly to a USB outlet on your bike. Both of these cables connect to the device using this proprietary connection. You just screw it in and you're good to go. So let me try to show this to you. You look at the pins the way it's supposed to be oriented. Just plug it in there, and then you just screw this little screw here to make it waterproof. And that's the way it looks when you have it set up. Both of the cables are with the same connection. So what many of you probably want to know is, if you want to install this Carpuride directly into your battery, is it gonna drain your battery when the device is not turned on? We talk about vampire drain of the battery. I'm gonna test this for you, so you don't have to. So we have a measurement device here, Fluke multimeter, that will show us down unto 1 milliampere. So very, very accurate measurement device that we use here. First, we can see how much the device actually pulls from the battery. So let's see if the screen brightness is full. So it's maxed out. It is pulling half an ampere, so 500 milliamperes when the device is on and the screen brightness is full. It's maxed out. Let's put the screen brightness to the minimum, lowest setting, which is still kind of okay. You can still see the map really easily, even in the minimum brightness. And it's pulling 250, 60 milliamperes, so it's about half from the maximum brightness. Then for the important information, if you want to install it directly to your battery like it is installed here, is it gonna pull any current when you switch off the device using the button here on the side? So let's turn it off. You have to press pretty hard. Now the device turned off, and let's see what happens. So it's still pulling 7 milliamperes. Let's wait for a while if it's still running something down on the background. So yeah, this is what happens. It's pulling 0 to 1 milliamperes. So basically you're never gonna run out your battery with this very minimal drainage that this device has. It's gonna take forever for you to drain any kind of battery. Even if you run a lithium battery, you don't have anything to worry about with this device. And of course, if you are storing your bike for 6 months over the winter, you can just unplug this device just to make absolutely sure that it's never gonna pull anything from the battery. But this kind of drainage, standby current, when the device is off, it's perfectly acceptable and you're never gonna run into any problems, as long as you remember to turn the device off. I would still recommend you to install the device somewhere in your bike that only gets current when the bike is running, just because it is annoying to turn the device off and on using this side button here. It's easy to reach this one, but you have to kind of press it kind of hard. And for me, it's much easier to install the device like this in the bike. So when you turn off the bike, the device is gonna turn off. Then when you turn back the power on the device, it's gonna automatically run the OS back on, and then it's gonna automatically connect to your device. My phone is now in my pocket, and it's still gonna open the Apple CarPlay and any app that I was previously using. So like you see here, it's running the Osmand right now. Feel free to install it directly to your battery, no problem, but I would still recommend installing it to a wiring loom that only gets power when the bike is on or the bike is running. So let's quickly go through some of the key things in the user interface itself. After you have paired your phone, it connects to it automatically, as you can see here, without any cables, which is super nice, as you never need to take your phone out of your pocket when you start riding/navigation with the device. But make sure your phone supports wireless CarPlay or Android Auto before buying this device. So the basic user interface of Apple CarPlay, because I have an iPhone, opens directly when you turn on the device, and this is how the CarPlay user interface looks, and this is pretty familiar for you if you have one in your car, for example. You can play your music, play your podcasts here, and use your navigation. If I open Google Music here, YouTube Music I mean, I can just start playing my music from here. But I'm not gonna play any music because I'm gonna get copyright striked here. But This is pretty familiar for anyone that has had this in their car for a while already. And then you have your different applications here in the CarPlay. I have Waze maps that I use when I ride my car most of the time. Overcast for podcasts, and you have messages, Apple Maps of course. These native applications work really well with the CarPlay or Android Auto interfaces. And the same can be said even if you use an Apple iPhone, you can use Google Maps if you want. You can pick a satellite map if you prefer to see that. You can see a little bit more 3D the actual location that you are in. Then I have Gaia GPS. I don't know much about this app. I just tested it out and it supports GPX files, which is handy if you want to use your own routes with the navigation. But those are the simple facts. There's a lot more applications that support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And if you want to go back to the actual device user interface, you press this car home button here. You can make phone calls and listen to music, put your own media files in the SD card if you want. I don't have a device here added at the moment. The device also has an integrated barometer, so if you want to know your elevation, if you ride in the mountains for example. And of course there's a compass as well integrated into the device. So this information you can see even if you don't have a phone connected in feet and in meters as well. Some of the basic settings like screen brightness is here already in the user interface above here. If I put it to the max, you can't see much because it's so bright. So let's pull it back so the camera is not overwhelmed with the screen. You can adjust your sound profiles here if you have Bluetooth headphones connected, which I don't have at the moment. Some backgrounds that you can change if you care what the device looks like when it's powered on and in its native UI. That's kind of cool. Pretty unnecessary for me, but still nice to see. So let's look at the UI settings here a little bit. Language you can pick and choose from a list of quite a vast, even Finland is here. Sweden, Spanish, Poland, Dutch, German. There's a lot of languages that you can pick and choose from. Restore settings, system version. At the time of making this video, this is the version that I'm running. This is not something you really have to worry about. After you connect your phone to the CarPlay unit, it's gonna connect automatically to that trusted phone. You don't have to play with these much after that. Then you can add Bluetooth devices like headphones, or if you have a Bluetooth headset in your helmet, you can add it here. And if you ride with the pillion, you can use this device to share music between the two riders wearing a headset. Not really something I'm able to test in the video, but you can find more information about that in the website if you are interested. So it basically works as a intercom hub if you attach multiple Bluetooth devices to this. If you have headphones connected to this device, you can also change the volume settings individually for media and voice. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The user interface is pretty simple, but you will most likely just use the CarPlay or Android Auto interface 99% of the time when you use this device. You don't really need to worry about the device page here much at all. After you have the basics done, connected your headphones, connected your phone, put the language settings and all that, after that you're just gonna mainly use the phone interface. But the device itself is pretty basic what comes to user interface. So anyone can learn this and it's very simple to use. And here you can see more clearly the difference between iPhone 11 on the bottom here and the Carpuride on the top here. Both are now with the screen brightness set to the maximum. That's why the ambient here is so dark. So you can probably clearly see in the video that the iPhone screen is a lot more dim and the Carpuride screen is a lot brighter than the phone screen here. Looking at these devices live, the difference is probably even more drastic than it is on the video, but you should be clearly seeing that the Carpuride 1000 nit screen is much better in sunlight, most likely when you're outside. I've always had a bit of a problem seeing this iPhone 11 screen when I navigate, especially on the brighter days in the summertime. And here you can see how much better you can see the surrounding areas here. All the text here is much bigger because of the screen size difference between the devices. And if I scroll back a little bit more, even this kind of a view, you definitely see more of the smaller roads much more easily from the Carpuride screen than here on the phone. They become so small that even when I'm not riding, I'm just looking at them here in the studio, I can much more clearly see the different roads here on the top screen because there's much more screen real estate to show everything. And everything is a little bigger, so it's easier to see when you're riding at speed.
Seems to be working quite nicely.
Luckily, a fellow rider here in Finland had already bought the 5-inch version for himself. I had a very good opportunity to compare these two devices right next to each other. Smaller device was running Android Auto, I couldn't really help that, and I was running Apple Maps, but I was trying to look at the map differences using the same application, Waze. You can clearly see that the text and maybe some of the roads are more visible in the bigger screen. Of course, that's partly due to the bigger resolution also that the 7-inch screen has. Both of the devices are 1000 nits on the spec list, but I did notice that the 7-inch screen was a little bit brighter right next to the 5-inch screen. But it's probably not really meaningful in practice. They are pretty much the same. But the resolution is higher on the bigger screen, and you can definitely see more in the bigger screen when you navigate the same kind of map interface. What I feel like is the biggest downfall for most of these navigation devices, especially for off-road use that I use my bikes for, is the price. I feel kind of bad about wearing €1,000 navigation on my dirt bikes. So what's good about the Carpuride is that the device itself, it's very, very affordable. There's a lot of YouTubers making videos about this device, and Carpuride has the same deal for many other YouTubers also. So you get a discount code for your audience and an affiliate link that you can earn a little commission if some of you buy the device. I don't really care if you use my code or my link. Use the best YouTuber you know, the favorite YouTuber you know that makes a video about this device. But if you want to support me a little bit, use my code and use my links below. The price of the device you can see on screen at the moment of recording this video. I think this is a pretty reasonable price for the device that you're getting, and I'm actually considering ordering a second one for my second bike, so I don't have to switch it back and forth, especially during summertime.
I like that I don't have to take my phone out of my pocket to do this. I can just find the address like that. That's nice. Oh, skill switch was on. Let's see if it continues automatically. The previous navigation. It's maybe it doesn't, but we'll see. It actually does. It continues automatically if you shut the bike off, so that's really nice. At least in the Google Maps it does, so that's really cool. Cool to see.
I took almost a 3-hour-long ride in the harsh Finnish winter, and there was no issues like you see on some phones I have used in the past. Phone screens tend to become laggy, less responsive to the touch, and sometimes even motion is blurred in cold weather. Also, some phones tend to shut off and not charge at all in these climates. Carpuride handled the cold very well, and because the device itself doesn't have a battery, there's no worry about a degraded battery in the future either.
Yeah, the navigation seems to work flawlessly. I have these undergloves that I should be able to use the navigation with, but let's see how it works. Let's exit the navigation, press back. Yeah, seems to work well with these tips. These black tips on my gloves are smartphone screen enabled. But let's see if it works with the normal glove there, my middle finger, because that is not enabled for smartphones. And still, this works. But my phone screen doesn't work with the middle finger. So, yeah, at least with these pretty thin gloves you can easily use this navigation system. So that's good news for us motorcycle riders, because we already have some kind of a glove on. So you don't necessarily have to take it off if you want to do some basic things in this navigation. But let's see, because I don't use Google Maps when I navigate off-road tracks, when I use GPX files. Let's see how it handles if you have your own file and want to use that. So let's ride a little bit off-road, or at least forest roads. Following the Trans-Euro Trail GPX file, it's shown on the red color on the screen there. But look at this weather in Finland. Just beautiful. We don't get a lot of sun here at this time of year. But let me stop here for a moment. Look at that. We don't get a lot of sun here in the mid-winter days, but if it happens to be not cloudy, it's absolutely stunning. Just so beautiful. It's a beautiful weather to do some winter riding with the CRF. I've done maybe 40 kilometers right now, and the navigation seems to be working really nice. I like that the screen is pretty big, and when you shut the bike off and continue riding, it actually continues the navigation as well, or it opens the app that you already had open, like the Osmand navigation that I like to use when I do off-road riding. So at least from initial ride test, I can say that the map is working pretty nicely, and with the big screen it's easy to follow the track.
The device went to dark mode, returning back to home automatically using the onboard light sensor. I thought it would be worth mentioning here.
So I lost 18%. I think I was just about at 100% when I started the trip, like as you can see there, and now I'm at 82, now 81%. 3 hours, almost 3 hours, so that's pretty nice, not bad at all. I was expecting the battery to drain like crazy, but no. 20% for 3 hours for an iPhone 12, which is already a very old phone. That's not bad at all. If you have a newer phone, you'll probably lose a lot less.
At times it can be a mixed bag of good and bad when we talk about third-party apps and their implementation of CarPlay or Android Auto. You can find bugs like this forced centering on the map on Osmand that I already made a bug report for Osmand coders to see. I don't have time to test every single app, but there are so many options that you should be able to find one that suits your needs. Just expect that third-party apps might have a more buggy interface on these units compared to native apps like Google Maps and Apple Maps. This is of course not a fault of the Carpuride unit itself, but the app developers that either don't have support for this functionality or have a buggy interface on CarPlay units. One negative is also the lack of pinch to zoom gesture on the maps. You need to use these plus and minus buttons to zoom in and out. Compared to a tablet or a phone running native OS, this is a bit old-fashioned, but works fine once you get used to it. Considering that I've bought more than €1,000 worth of quad-lock products for my phone mounting situation for all of my bikes over the last few years, I think this is probably even the most affordable navigation device you can use on your bike. So I'm gonna try to give this a chance and use this for the next, let's say, this year, and maybe I'll do a long-term review later, and we'll see how I feel about the device after a few longer trips. Next summer I'm planning to ride from Finland to Portugal, and that's gonna be a really tough test for this little device. See you on the next episodes. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'm sorry it was so long.